Bangladesh is once again on the brink. There has been massive violence that has been reported all across Bangladesh. There is rioting, there is arson, and we at NDTV will tell you the latest developments. This all started almost 6 to 7 days ago when Osman Hadi, a youth leader, was targeted in an assassination attempt by unmasked gunmen. And these masked gunmen fired bullets into him. He was taken to a Bangladesh hospital, but his situation was very, very serious and critical. And then he was in emergency flown to Singapore for better medical aid. But unfortunately, late last night, he passed away at a Singapore hospital, even though there were attempts to save his life. And this has now triggered massive violence. Who was Osman Hadi? Now, Osman Hadi is a youth leader who was involved in the July Uprising against Sheikh Hasina. He's anti-Sheikh Hasina and Awami League. He's part of the students groups, and he's also the spokesperson of the Inquilab Mancha, a major students and youth organization in Bangladesh that has been spearheading protests against Awami League and against tyranny in Bangladesh. And now, after his death, there were spontaneous protests all across Dhaka, in Shambagh, and of course several areas. Now, latest reports are now indicating that two major newspapers, first Pratham Alo, which is the biggest newspaper of Bangladesh, and then Daily Star, the biggest English daily in Bangladesh, were targeted. The buildings, the headquarters of Pratham Alo and of course Daily Star were targeted. They were gutted, they were ransacked completely. In fact, during the second instance of Daily Star being targeted, there were more than 30 journalists who were stranded inside that particular building, who took shelter at the roof even as the building was gutted. It was the Bangladesh Army and the Bangladesh Fire Brigade that came to the rescue using a sky ladder. They rescued the 30 plus journalists and staff of the Daily Star. A major tragedy was really averted. Thereafter, a third incident took place where Nurul Kabir, a senior journalist in Bangladesh and also the editor of the New Age newspaper, was dragged out of his car, and then he was beaten. He was in fact attacked and physically assaulted. These three incidents are indicative of the fact of how the situation of Bangladesh is very much grim. Apart from that, there were attacks on the Awami League offices and houses of leaders. There was also yet another attack at Dhanmondi 32, which is the ancestral birthplace of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of Bangladesh. Even though India has a very critical role to play in the creation of Bangladesh a few decades ago, there has been a sustained campaign by certain radical elements to provoke violence against India. Over the last 3 to 4 days, there have been various attempts to attack the Indian High Commission in Dhaka and also the Indian Assistant High Commission in Chittagong, in Khulna, and in Rajshahi as well. India has in total 5 diplomatic missions in Bangladesh. India has, of course, the main High Commission in Dhaka, and apart from that, 4 different assistant high commissions which function almost similar to a consulate. Late last night, apart from these violent protests, there was a mob fury that was reported outside the Indian Assistant High Commission in Chittagong, where almost 1,000 protesters converged and indulged in stone pelting and arson outside the main gate of the Indian High Commission, the Indian Assistant High Commission in Chittagong. Now, we are being told that there was no damage to the property. All Indians and diplomatic staff are safe right now, and Bangladesh Army has been deployed at critical and sensitive areas, including the Indian diplomatic missions all across Bangladesh. It's a very sensitive situation right now, even as protests increase. Now, the National Citizen Party, which is of course the Students' Party, a political party of Bangladesh, newly created by students and youth, has now given a call for Friday Jummah protest, which means after the Friday prayers, the protesters will come out and converge and indulge in massive protests, and perhaps violence is likely to increase yet again. In this entire matter, the entire question mark now comes on Muhammad Yunus, who is the chief advisor of the Bangladesh government. There is no probe or investigation that has led to any of the arrests right now as to who was responsible for the killing of Osman Hadi. In fact, at this particular time, the chief advisor Muhammad Yunus did come out in a late night address to the nation, offering condolences to the family and the supporters and friends of Osman Hadi, saying that there will be a one-day national mourning on Saturday, and of course asking them to give an opportunity to the investigative agencies and the law enforcement to investigate this case, and of course have patience so that the perpetrators can be arrested. But there's been no progress over the last 1 week. The students are agitated, they are angry, and now radical elements seem to be in control. Radical Islamists are protesting against India, even though India has no role to play either in this killing or any of the internal matters of Bangladesh that are seeing further deterioration right now. The big question mark is also on how Mohammad Yunus has failed to restore democracy in Bangladesh. Elections have been announced for early next year, but as of now, it doesn't seem like they will be free and fair elections. It is some kind of an exercise that they have to do to show to the world. But as of now, Awami League is completely banned. Awami League leaders are banned in Bangladesh. And of course, Sheikh Hasina, the former Prime Minister, is stranded in New Delhi. So as of now, it does seem like Friday could appear as another historic day in the history of Bangladesh. But will violence escalate? Will attacks on media in Bangladesh and the provocation against India continue? We'll have to wait and watch. Indian government is monitoring the situation very, very closely. And here at NDTV, we will keep you updated on the latest developments, even as the violence, arson, and the mob violence continues all across Bangladesh by the student groups and the Islamist radicals.